Bethel, Grace, and Huntington all survive in the crossroads, and Dort wins the big showdown against Northwestern in Orange City. Cascade Hoopstock starts right now. Whoops, sorry about that. Well, here we go. It's a Thursday morning show, and I already made the first mistake. Here's our new top 25. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but it is what it is. So not a lot of change here in the top, 12. You can see the Dalton State. They were the big surprise. They came in from RV all the way up to 13. And then Rocky Mountain as well. They were in RV, and they jumped up to 19. A couple teams dropped a little bit. LC State after their loss to Bushnell. Ave Maria dropped also. William Woods out of the AMC. They're the second team in from that conference. And then Rio Grande sneaks in and stays in at 25. So that's the top 25. It'll be updated again in a couple of weeks. I think the conferences are a lot better kind of a gauge of where everybody's at because they're all playing like teams. But I know it's a lot of entertainment and everybody likes it. So that's the top 25, and I'm done with that. Okay, big game tonight over in Orange City in Iowa. Dort took the 10-minute drive over, and they beat them at Northwestern in Orange City, 78-75. We'll talk more about this, the details when we get to Dort. But Northwestern, that was their first loss of the year. They've had a great year so far. They go to 17-1. Jesse Van Kalsbeek and Alex Van Kalsbeek, what a season they've had. But tonight they fell 78-75. They're going to play Concordia on Saturday. So sticking with that game, Luke Rankin, not really the guy that has the scoring. He's a distributor for that team. He came in for 19 points tonight. That's a big game. Lucas Lorenzen, he had 20 points and 7 rebounds. So Dort now is 18-1, and they're going to go to Midland on Saturday. Now, we'll talk about this when we get down to the standings, but Midland is giving people some trouble, and Dort could have a letdown game. So let's talk about that here in a second. Well, here we are. Looking at the G-Pack, really no surprises. I did want to talk about Concordia. They continue to win. They beat up Mount Marty pretty good. Of course, they were there in Seward, a place that they were very, very comfortable playing at home. So let's look at the standings. So Dort now stands atop the G-Pack, 1/2 game over Northwestern. And right behind them in third is Concordia. A lot of people had written them off earlier. And Morningside is only, a game and a half back from Concordia. So coming up on Saturday, Dort is going to be at Midland. I think that's a key game. As I say, Midland has been giving people a lot of trouble, and they're on the road at Midland. And, the big emotional high of going over to Orange City and playing Northwestern at Northwestern, you just wonder if they're going to have a letdown. In Northwestern, they have to go to Concordia, and we just mentioned Concordia is really tough in Seward. And remember, they beat the heck out of Dort there at Seward the other day. So Northwestern, but I think Northwestern is going to be, they're going to be loaded for bear. All my friends in Seward, man, you better be ready. That game is going to be a war. So those are a couple of big games on Saturday in the G-Pack. G-Pack's always entertaining. Let's jump down to the Heart. Baker University, they defeated Missouri Valley tonight. 84-68, Ty Henry, 18 points, 6 rebounds. Quentin Harvey, 24 points, 8 rebounds. Great game for those two. Baker now goes to 16-1, and they're going to host Culver Stockton on Saturday. A quick look at the Heart. Most of the action in this conference tonight was in the middle of the pack. So William Penn, I talk about them a lot. They're trying to fight their way out of the middle of the pack. They've been having trouble getting a win. They got the win tonight. And Mid-American Nazarene has had a ton of close games. They were able to pull this one off in Olathe and top Central Methodist. And then Park also won. So you're going to see there's several teams in this mid-pack, and the only one here that fell was Central Methodist. So all these teams in the mid-pack were able to make a little goose up, if you would. So Baker continues to lead the conference by, what is that, 2.5. And Graceland and Peru State are tied for second. So Saturday, Mount Mercy is going to be at Mid-American Nazarene. Can they pull another one off in Olathe? Missouri Valley is going to be at Peru State. Peru State is battling to keep pace with Baker. And Park and William Penn, two of those teams in that mid-pack, are going to go at it at William Penn. Hey, we talked to, speaking of Baker, we talked to Sean Dooley. He's the head men's basketball coach at Baker University. I really appreciate the time. And why don't I just shut up and let's let him tell his story. I won't. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. I got Sean Dooley on the phone. He's the head men's basketball coach at Baker University. They are the Wildcats. And, Coach, thanks for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Bill.
So you guys have been rolling. You're 15-1. I want to talk about the Wildcats. I want to talk about the Heart just a bit. But, you've been around NAIA basketball, looks to me like 25 years. I've been around it basically my whole life, and I'm an old guy. And I don't remember this much parity across the country. Is it just me, or are you kind of seeing the same thing?
Yeah, I think it's probably yes. I think there is probably more parity than ever. I used to, like you said, I've been in the NAI a long time. Played in it back at Columbia College, and then been an assistant coach and a head coach in it. And shoot, I grew up in Kansas City, so I grew up going to the tournament as a young kid,
wow.
And can remember it from all the way back then. So definitely fond of it. I think what you're seeing right now, in my opinion, is probably a couple things that kind of contributed to it. But I've always thought the NAI for a long time is kind of been the haves and the have-nots in terms of it, in terms of commitment from administration and schools and everything else. And I think that's why for a long time you would see, a lot of the same names and up top. And now when you look ever really since the NAI has gone to one division for a few years now, I think you start to see a lot more parity. You add in the fact of the transfer portal, the notoriety of the NAI, whether it's COVID and the extra years and whatnot. But, I think it's opened a lot of more people's eyes of the caliber of player that is in this level, which is great attention for us. But then also, it's cause for some of the better players year after year to kind of get plucked by, the NCAA Division I schools and whatnot. So with that, I think there's just been a lot of change and change in coaching, change in rosters, which I think has contributed to the parity. But I would agree with you. The level of basketball and coaching in the NAI is still extremely high. There's a lot of talented players out there, but I definitely think there's some new names that you see kind of up there that maybe not be the traditional ones from past years. And I do think that the caliber of talent is definitely kind of leveled off.
Yeah, I agree. The Wildcats have been on a roll. I mean, you're 15-1. You've got 2.5 game lead in the Heart, which, as you know, Coach, can disappear in a weekend. But you haven't lost since November 9th. Tough game down at Florida Memorial. They're tough. It's hard to win down there. But that's your only loss. What do you think is really attributed to the Wildcats' success so far?
Yeah, I mean, we're an older team, Bill.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of experience, and where I think, that's kind of has separated ourselves a little bit. Obviously, we're a talented team. We return pretty much our majority of our team from last year. So a lot of our guys have been in our program 2, 3, some 4 years right now. So they know what what the Hart conference race is all about. They know about the level of the schedule and not from a non-conference standpoint. So I think that experience, just not just on the floor but off the floor, knowing our standards and expectations from a program and everything else has really contributed to that. And then just the continuity of the team, knowing each other, knowing our style, knowing how we want to play, kind of strengths and weaknesses of our group individually and collectively, I think has held true. And then, even though it's our guys have done a really good job, they're a motivated group. We've had some success here the last few years. Had a little bit of a run last year and making the national tournament and winning a game there, but they want to do more. Yeah. And I think in the back of their mind, they're like I said, they're a hungry group, and they continue to work to get better each and every day.
You mentioned about your age. I think your top 8-minute guys, by minutes. I think 6 of them are seniors and 2 are juniors, if I remember right. You're probably one of the more senior heavy teams around the country. That really makes a difference, especially in close games, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I said, we've got 10 seniors on our team this year. So again, the continuity of everything that we do, whether it's close games or just even, I think sometimes that experience, it's big on the floor and in those close game type moments, but just the preparation. They know what we're going into. Yeah. We know when we're going to Benedictine or we're going to Mid-America, the big rivals for us, what that environment's going to be like, what they're going to be like. Our guys, after doing this a couple of years, they know kind of how each of our conference opponents play, what to expect from their coaching staff, and whether their rosters changed a little bit and the personnel's maybe changed, but they still know a lot about that. And that's huge. That is huge. There's been some times this season where we don't get off to the greatest start or whatever, but, our guys don't get rattled. They have a lot of experience playing together and they know that if we just get back to doing what we need to do, and they normally can correct the stuff on the fly pretty quickly.
I'm a guy, coach, there's so many teams in the NAIA. It's hard to really follow it. The way I do is I follow the conferences pretty close because I always, the top 25 is the top 25, but I always feel like if you want to get to the national tournament, you got to do well in your conference. And to me, that's the best indicator. So I watch the Hart pretty close. It's a whale of a battle. As you know, you got Graceland and Peru State right there knocking on, just waiting for you to make a mistake. And then just below them, there's some teams there that could probably move up, but they just kind of keep beating each other up. Just talk about the strength of the Hart.
Yeah, and it's been that way for a while, and I think one of the things is we've had some teams at the top that have had success. Graceland won a national championship not too many years ago. Everybody knows about the success that William Penn has had over the last handful of years. I think Benedictine had a great year a few years back and was maybe the overall 1 seed and stuff. So it's had this success. I think the one thing that kind of separates this league and every year is different, but there's just really no off nights. Like the parity, like you said, kind of across the board, I felt like has been that way in our league for many years now. There's a lot of good coaches, and there's been several coaches over the last few years that have been in our league that are NAIA like Hall of Famers that have retired, and they've had replacements come in and have done good jobs as well. So I think that's the challenge, really of all conferences, but I think it's really especially for the Heart of America, where we're going in on Wednesday of this week, and we're taking on Missouri Valley. Well, they didn't get off to a very good start that Coach Lance would probably want to, but since break they've won 3 in a row, all by double digits, and we've got them going to we're going to their place on Wednesday, which is going to be just a great game, and we're going to have to play well to get a win. So and you look at teams like that wherever they may be in the standings right now, here the way they've started to play this second semester, in 2 weeks you might look up at them and they've made a significant change, and so I think that can happen throughout the season. I think teams kind of ebb and flow. I think we're all, as coaches, are kind of our objective is to get our teams to play, to continue to get better throughout the year, but to kind of get to be where our best are is middle to end of February. And so, that's obviously our goal right now, and that's what we're working to. But in the meantime, we got to find a way to win 2 games a week in this conference. And, for our league right now, we're playing 24 of them. So not just the physical, but the mental grind of playing these meaningful games all the way from really since the middle of November all the way to the end of February is really, really tough for teams. And if you haven't been through it before, it can be very daunting and everything else. And again, that's kind of where I feel like that's kind of had some of our success, is just the experience of guys going through that. They've all been through it for at least 1 or 2 years. So they kind of really know what to expect. And when we're speaking to them about it, it's not just coach speak. The guys understand that that we're not just blowing smoke. That it's the real deal. Like, you got to show up and you got to be ready to play each night. Doesn't matter who you have on your schedule, you will get beat if you don't play well. So, they've embraced that challenge so far, and hopefully we'll continue to do so.
You got some guys on the offensive side of the ball that have just seem to produce every night. I pull your stats every game and pull them up. Noah Rigatuso every night, Quentin Harvey, Ahmed Magoob, Ty Henry, a couple other guys, Lennox and Jones. On the offensive side of the ball, just talk about the production and what, some of those guys. Just talk about those guys.
Yeah. And I think one of the keys for us and is just the balance. A lot of it with us, Rigatuso, Harvey, being returning first team all league guys.
Yep.
Obviously they generate a lot of attention from our opponents. Both of them are very dynamic. They're kind of inside outside threats for us and play really well in our style, which is a little bit up tempo and everything else. But I think what makes us dangerous is just we have a lot of different pieces and different guys that can step up. There's been games where we've played really well where both of those guys didn't maybe have their best game, and we were still fine. So a couple of them, like you mentioned, Ahmed Magoob, I thought, first semester probably played as well both ends of the floor as anybody on our team, and really had a great first semester, and has continued to do so as we begin the second semester. Ty Henry is one of our juniors on our team. That's a big part of it. I mean, he's just Mr. Efficiency. His shooting percentages, what he does for us offensively, is huge. He might not be the most aggressive guy offensively, but you look up at him at the end of the night and he's filling the box score in a lot of different areas and is a very good defender. Corey Jones is another senior that's kind of started some for us over the years. Comes in off the bench, is just our energy guy, kind of the heart and soul of our team. Excellent defender. His in game has really taken a step up. Had a big game the other day for us. And then Cayman Lennox is our one new guy that we have this year, is a Division II grad transfer for us. It's kind of like in our 6-man role, combo guard, extremely quick with the ball in his hands, can score. In a lot of different ways, has really given us an extra dimension for our team this year. And then another one that probably doesn't get mentioned enough for us is our starting point guard, Nick Wittick, who's also a senior for us. I don't even know what his assist to turnover ratio number is right now, Bill, but it's off the charts. I think he had 10 assists, 2 turnovers the other day on Saturday, 7 and 1 the day before. So, he's not going to jump out and be a double figure scorer for us, but controls the game, is an excellent defender, takes great care of the ball, and does a great job of distributing it, which is really kind of what we need when we have a lot of different bullets out there and guys that can kind of take over games at different points if need be.
kind of the best for last. You got a lot of offensive weapons. You just talked about them, but you really win games by defending. I was really impressed. I go through your team. You hold teams to, what is it, 38% from the field, 32% from the three. A lot of teams want to do that. Everybody wants to be one of those top defensive teams. How do you guys do that? How are you able to hold percentages down and hold scoring down?
Yeah, well, it's definitely an area that we take pride in, kind of want to hang our hat on. And really what we've found is if you want to be one of the top teams in our league, you've got to defend. And, and I think that probably holds true, not just for our league. I imagine it holds true for most leagues and across the NAIA. But if we can do that, then you'll give yourself a chance night in and night out. Like we said earlier, like, we're playing 24 of these, and to think you're just going to go and shoot lights out, for majority of your conference games, I think you're crazy. So, our guys have bought in on that. Obviously, we're not the biggest team in terms of physicality and everything else. We are pretty long. We're very athletic. We're quick. We can make teams uncomfortable when we're locked in. I think the experience factor of these guys playing together, knowing what we want to do. A lot of times when we'll watch out there and be like, just from a rotations and a switching type situation that, they just see it and it's almost kind of seamless with it. And that just goes from, that's not coaching or anything. That's just reps and experience and guys being bought in on that. So, again, it's something that, we've told the guys and they know the importance of it. They've been extremely bought in on that. And again, it kind of sets up everything we want to do offensively in terms of, trying to create some tough, quick shots or some turnovers that kind of can lead us into transition and getting out to play offense, which every kid wants to do.
So you're halfway through the league right now. It's going to get nothing but tougher. You've had some pretty good success, obviously. What are some things when you look at your team that you want to try to clean up so you can finish well and hopefully win that Hart Conference?
Yeah, I think, obviously we're off to a pretty good start defensively overall when you look at the numbers and whatnot. But I do think, there's areas that we can clean up. I think we need to be better and get better rebounding from a defensive standpoint. I think, like I said, we're not the most, physical, demanding, team right now. I think we can get better there. Offensively, I think we can share the ball even more. And I think our efficiency offensively can improve. We haven't shot the ball great of late, but, like we tell our guys, hey, just trust in the process, keep working. As long as we're getting good shots, they'll fall. And again, I think our unselfishness as a team is kind of really one of the strengths, and will continue to be that way from offensive standpoint. So again, we kind of have relied a lot so far. We're really playing mainly about 8 guys, which is probably a little bit lower than maybe we have done in the past.
Yeah.
But we're still, with those 8 guys, I don't know if anyone's playing more than 28 minutes a game. So it's like I said it before, it's a pretty balanced team in terms of scoring, but it's also pretty balanced in minutes. But I do think as we get going, building and adding some depth in the bench will be important to us as we go down the stretch here. And bottom line is, like any areas, there's always room for improvement, and our focus is just helping us try to get better each and every time out.
Well, Coach Dooley, I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk Baker Wildcat and Hart Conference basketball with us. It's a great conference race. I like it. I like it nice and tight. I'm sure you would like to have a couple more game lead, but it's going to be a war down the stretch. I just have that feeling.
Oh yeah, and that's the way it should be. And I not very often in this league or any league at this juncture is any team going to be pulling away. I do think, like I said earlier, our experience has been advantageous for us. But I got to expect that in teams in our league that have a lot of new pieces, as the more games they get to play together, the more better understanding they'll have of who they are, and they'll be even that much more tougher. So that's what we expect. And, I look forward to the competition as always. And I know our guys do as well.
Well, Coach Dooley, thanks a lot. I really appreciate the time.
Yeah, absolutely, Bill. Thank you. And thanks for all you do for all of NAIA basketball.
No, I really appreciate that. That's Coach Sean Dooley. He's the head men's basketball coach, Baker Wildcats. Thank you, Coach.
All righty. Have a great day.
Hey, thanks a lot to Coach Dooley and to Baker University. They have something really going right there. He is a very experienced team. You realize that Baker hasn't lost since November 9th down in Florida at Florida Memorial. November 9th. I mean, that's last year. That's a long time. They're like 16-1 now. So anyway, let's keep going. Okay, so let's jump over to the Crossroads. Always fun. So Bethel was hosting Spring Arbor. Spring Arbor has really been tough this year. They've been down the last couple of years, but they're tough this year. A big test for Bethel, but they won 73-63. They had a lot of scoring from a lot of different places. Luke Phillip McBride, 12 points. He had a tough time from three. I think he was 2 for 9, but he still scored 12 points, 4 rebounds. Al Peshulis, 12 points, 3 rebounds. Trent Edwards, 20 points, 4 assists. So really balanced scoring for the Pilots. They go to 15-3, and they're at Taylor on Saturday. Grace, they played St. Francis. This was a huge test. Honestly, it looked like St. Francis kind of had them. They're up there in Fort Wayne, but Grace made a big run at the end, especially the last 10 minutes, and they were able to get the win. They showed a lot of toughness. I think St. Francis is better than people are thinking, so it's a big win for Grace. Gage Sefton, 19 points, 6 rebounds, and Ian Scott, 11-11, double-double. So they go to 14-4, and they're going to host Mount Vernon on Saturday. That's another team that's better than their record. Nothing is easy. Huntington tonight, they also won. They beat Taylor. They were in the Platte tonight. They beat Taylor 82-68. Jackson Paul, 16 points, 4 rebounds. And Lane Sparks, 25 points, 7 rebounds. Huntington's at 14-4, and they're going to have to go to Goshen on Saturday. Okay, let's look a little closer at the conference. Those were 2 good big games we talked about. I'm going to show you why they were so important in the standings. So Bethel is now 2 full games up on Grace. Grace is up a game on Spring Arbor and St. Francis. So St. Francis is now tied for 3rd. Saturday, some big games. St. Francis is at Spring Arbor. Those are both teams that have been down the last couple of years, and they're really making runs there in the Crossroads. So that's going to be a big game. And then Mount Vernon Nazarene is going to be in Winona Lake and take on Grace. Mount Vernon Nazarene is pretty tough this year. I know their record doesn't show it, but they're going to give Grace a game. Watch them lose by 45. Now I say that, but no, I think Mount Vernon's giving about everybody a game. Okay, so let's jump over to the Sun. Kaiser got beat by Ave Maria tonight. What was the score of this one? 94-90. So Kaiser goes to 14-3. And they will host Florida Memorial on Saturday. So it doesn't get any easier for Kaiser. From the frying pan to the fire. Speaking of Florida Memorial, they beat St. Thomas tonight, 61-57. This was a good win for Florida Memorial. St. Thomas is tough. And anyways, a good win for them. Taryn Hamilton, 20 points, 8 rebounds. And big Latavius Mitchell, 16 points, 4 rebounds. So they're at 12-4 now, Florida Memorial is, and they're going to be at Kaiser on Saturday, as we just said. That's going to be a good game. Okay, so we talked about this Ave Maria. They beat Kaiser in that game. Michael Klekas, 24.7 rebounds, and Nick Filchner, 18 points, 2 rebounds. So they are 14-4, and they're going to host St. Thomas on Saturday. Uh, let's take a really quick look here, and I should have made that narrower. No, I'm going to turn that part off. So games I wanted, Kaiser or Ave Maria beating Kaiser was a big game in the conference tonight, but also New College of Florida. They won again. I know Weber's been down, but New College, I'm going to show you in the standings. So Kaiser and Ave Maria are tied 5-1. Florida Memorial's a half game back. But look at this, New College, a brand new school in the conference. They're at 3-3. They're only 2 games out from first place. Wow, that's pretty cool. So Saturday, St. Thomas is going to be at Ave Maria. Never count St. Thomas out. They're going to give Ave Maria a game. And Florida Memorial is going to be at Kaiser. Down the Appalachian Conference, University of Pikeville, they fell to Milligan. I had a sense Milligan was going to give them some trouble. They're both very similar. Milligan's really big and strong. Just a perfect style to play Pikeville. They beat them 78-61. Jamie Pay 15.7 rebounds, and McCaskill Rivers 14 points, 8 rebounds. So Pikeville now goes to 15-4. Let's take a look at the conference. Here's the other games in the conference. Tennessee Wesleyan beat Bryan. Tennessee Wesleyan was a big underdog in that game, but they were at home, but they were still a big underdog. So that was a huge loss for Bryan. So CIU is in the lead. The Bryan, that's their second loss of the conference, and then Pikeville goes to 8-3. You can see it's fairly tight, just like every conference in America. So this Saturday, Milligan's going to be at CIU. That's a game you want to check out. And Tennessee Wesleyan's going to be at Pikeville. See if Tennessee Wesleyan can has a double magic in their barrels, has a double barrel magic. So those are the 2 games I would check out. The KCAC, kind of a wild, not a wild night, but a lot happened. So St. Mary beat York. Oklahoma Wesleyan beat Ottawa. Very big win for Oklahoma Wesleyan. I'll show you in the standings. And bad loss for Friends. Southwestern beat them 80-68, and they were at home. That's a tough loss. So St. Mary's has a 2.5 game lead over Friends and Ottawa and Oklahoma Wesleyan. They're all tied. Look at that. And then Bethel's just another game back. So, yeah, crazy. Every one of these conferences that tight. So Saturday, Ottawa is going to be at Bethel. That's a big game, and Friends at Bethany. Those are a couple of games you want to check out on Saturday. There's the rest of the games. The Wolverine Hoosier Conference, the WAC. I'll show you the scores. Scroll down them. I want to talk to you about that Siena Heights Lords game, but I'll get to that after we get through the standings. So after tonight, Indiana Tech continues to have a 2-game lead on Lords and Cornerstone and Lawrence Tech, who are all tied for second. And then one more game back is Northwestern Ohio and Aquinas. A little tight. Saturday, couple games you want to keep an eye on. Northwestern Ohio is at Cornerstone, and Michigan Dearborn is at Lawrence Tech. Those are, I think, the 2 best games in the conference coming up on Saturday. Yeah, I mentioned this game. Whoops, go back. I mentioned this game. George, I don't want to mispronounce his name. Kalatsis, I believe. He, at Siena Heights, he had a career high. He had 38 points. This was a real shoot. Number 1, Lords won this game, but Siena Heights had only had 2 conference wins coming into this. And Lords is, second in the conference or something. And Siena Heights gave them everything they could handle. But George Kalatsis, 38 points, 7 rebounds. And for Lords, Sean Monroe, 38 points, 7 assists. So there was some offensive firepower in this game. That's what makes NAIA basketball so great. You never know. whenever you walk into a gym, you never know when you're going to walk into a historic game. That's a pretty historic game. Two guys scored 38 points. I got that from a listener. They sent me the information on it. So if you have anything special like that, share it with me and we'll try to get it on. So thank you for that. So in the Chicagoland, I'll go through the scores. Big game was Saint Xavier at St. Francis. They were tied at the top of the conference, but now St. Francis stands alone, one game up on Indiana Northwestern St. Xavier. So this Saturday, games to watch. Indiana Northwest is at South Bend, and St. Xavier, wanting to get back in the W column, they're going to be at Olivet Nazarene. I know Olivet Nazarene's down a little bit this year, but that's a great program, and that'll be a good game. That's what I have for you tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show, and don't forget to make your plans right now to get to NAIA basketball this weekend, because it ain't going to break you. Your whole family's going to enjoy it, and it's the best entertainment value in America. Thank you. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast. Please like and subscribe. Get out to your local NAIA school, because NAIA basketball is the best entertainment value in America.